Hey, folks, today's Wednesday, November 30th, 2023. Coming up on Roland Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. There's a truce, humanitarian truce in the Israel-Gaza conflict. We'll get an update from John Kirby with the White House about that. Also, the family of Auntie Jefferson, the black woman who was shot and killed by a Fort Worth cop, settlement with the city will tell you how much. Also, drama on Capitol Hill where Republicans are not happy with Senator Dick Durbin when it comes to the advancing of the nominations of President Joe Biden. They walk out upset. Plus, Republicans, they try to take out Congressman George Santos. Wait till we tell you how he fired back at one of his Republican accusers. Time to bring the funk of Roland Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the biz, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the fine. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
Folks, there's a pause, a humanitarian pause in the battle between Israel and Gaza to allow for the freeing of hostages. The United States has been involved in the negotiation of that with several other countries. John Kirby, he is the head of Strategic Communications, National Security Council, joins us from the White House. John, glad to have you here. Busy day in D.C. I'm stuck in traffic because of the White House Christmas tree lighting. So was totally unaware if that was today. I was wondering what's up with the dump trucks up and down 17th Street. So that's why I'm doing this from the car. So first off, so many people have been clamoring, demanding President Joe Biden lead a ceasefire. What we now see, walk people through how delicate these negotiations have been. And it's not just involving the United States, it's multiple countries that are involved in this.
Yeah, thanks, Roland. Thanks for having me. And my plan was to be in studio with you as well, but I'm stuck here at the White House because I can't get out because of the traffic. So I'm glad we had this chance to talk. You're right. We are now on the 7th day of a pause in the fighting, which has not only helped us get about 100 people out, hostages, but a lot of trucks of aid, food, water assistance, medical supplies, fuel in hundreds, several hundreds of trucks. And that has taken an awful lot of work led by the president, personal involvement and engagement with the Emir of Qatar, who has communications with Hamas, of course, Prime Minister Netanyahu, and of course, President Sisi of Egypt. But down below his level, the national security team, even on the ground there, has been very actively engaged, literally by the hour, to keep this pause, this humanitarian pause in place now, again, going into 7 full days here. As you may have seen, Secretary Blinken was in Israel today, and he talked about our hopes that this pause can be extended past tonight. Now, we'll have to see. It's obviously very, very late there in the Middle East. So we'll have to see what shakes out over the morning hours. But we're hoping that this pause can be extended even further.
And again, what we're talking about here, and for folks who really don't understand, who follow this, when you talk about Hamas, that's different from the PLA, and you've got differing factions with the Palestinian people.
That's right. I mean, one of the things that Secretary Blinken talked about today was we'd like to see a revitalized Palestinian Authority that can help with governance on Gaza going forward, something that's reformed, that they've addressed, for instance, corruption issues. But the Hamas is separate from the Palestinian Authority. They have run Gaza since 2007, and they have not met the aspirations of the majority of the Palestinian people there in Gaza. They weren't very popular before October 7th because of the way that they had been trying to govern Gaza, and in quite frankly, a corrupt and cruel way. But this is also a terrorist group, and they delivered a series of very deadly, lethal attacks on the 7th of October that obviously Israel has the right and responsibility to respond to.
Lots of protests, a lot of people have been demanding more from this White House, and we talk about a ceasefire. There are things that lead up to that. And so does the White House see this pause as a step, as a progression to potentially achieving that?
What we see these pauses as really, and we would like to see them extended, again, past the week, really designed to do 2 things. Well, one, obviously stop the fighting, but that allows you to get humanitarian assistance in, which we've done, and it allows you to get hostages out, which we've also done. Now, we understand there's strong feelings on all sides here. The president recognizes that, and he appreciates that people have very strong feelings about this conflict. We don't believe that a ceasefire, and when we talk about a ceasefire versus a pause, there's a difference. When you use the word ceasefire, what we're talking about in that regard is some sort of laying down of arms in anticipation of an end to the hostilities, an end to the war. Usually it's the next step before you get into peace negotiations. And frankly, the Israelis they're not there yet. They still have a viable, vicious Hamas threat that they are trying to deal with. So we agree that now is not the time for a permanent ceasefire. That said, we have and continue to support these pauses, these humanitarian pauses. They're localized, they're time constrained, and as I said earlier, they're for discrete purposes: aid in, hostages out. But they have actually led to a reduction in the violence, for sure, over the course of the last week. And so we obviously want to see that continue. But if you do a permanent ceasefire at this time, Roland, right now, if you just lay that on, basically that gives Hamas carte blanche here to regroup, resource themselves, refit, get ready to plan and execute more attacks. It also validates what they did on the 7th of October. It basically says, hey, that's okay. What you can go into Israel and kill 1,200 people, and that's okay. You can have these genocidal interests for the Israeli nation, and we're just going to look the other way. And we're just not at that stage right now.
But the pressure that you're under, and the polls reflect that. A significant number of young voters and others also talking about the thousands of Palestinians that have been killed, including children. And so that's what you also are facing. And, I'm hearing from people, African Americans, who have made it clear. I mean, I'm seeing more people, #GenocideJoe. I'm seeing all of that. And there are people who literally are saying this is a non-starter, that this position against a ceasefire is putting a second term of the presidency of Joe Biden in peril.
Again, Roland, we understand that there are strong feelings, and again, the president he respects that. He understands that there's strong feelings here on all sides. And what we would say is that the approach that the president has taken has gotten results. It has actually led to assistance, food, water, medicine, and fuel getting to people. It has led to people getting out, not just hostages over the 7 days, but in the preceding weeks, we've been able to get more than 850 American citizens out. And we have had an impact on Israeli military operations. Now, I want to say right up front that too many thousands of innocent civilians have been killed and too many more thousands have been wounded. The right number of civilian casualties in Gaza is zero. And we have been constantly talking to our Israeli counterparts about being more discriminate, more cautious, more careful. And as I said, it has had an effect. For instance, when they went into Gaza on the ground, their original plans were for a much larger force and a much more ham-fisted approach. We were able to, sharing our lessons learned from places like Fallujah and Mosul and the Iraq War and our experience in Afghanistan, we're able to get them to modify the way they went into Gaza to be a little bit more careful, a little bit more deliberate, and civilian casualties were reduced. As a matter of fact, they opened up 3 corridors of people so people could move from the north to the south safely without getting themselves in harm's way. So again, no civilian casualties should be accepted. We mourn and we grieve with all of them. And again, we understand the strong feeling there, which is why we're working so hard to make sure that Israel doesn't do anything in the future that would put innocent civilians in greater harm's way. As a matter of fact, Secretary Blinken in Israel said quite clearly and plainly, we won't support a return to military operations after this pause that doesn't include consideration by the Israelis for minimizing civilian casualties, not destroying or damaging civilian infrastructure like hospitals and energy infrastructure, and that also provides areas and venues that innocent civilians in the South in particular can go to and be safe and know that they're going to be safe. So we're not supporting future military operations by the IDF unless they can show the world that they have done that thinking. And what Secretary Blinken said today was that when he made that case to our Israeli counterparts, that they agreed with that approach and that they're going to work in that vein. So again, we're doing everything we can to keep the loss of life to a minimum.
All right, John Kirby, we certainly appreciate you joining us on the show. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Roland. Appreciate it.
Folks, got to go to break. We come back. We'll talk with our panel about what is happening in Israel and Gaza. Tension situation that has significant impact on next presidential election. You're watching Roland Unfiltered right here, the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol,
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Grow your business or career with Grow with Google's wide range of online courses, digital training, and tools. Gain in-demand job skills with flexible online training programs designed to put you on the fast track to jobs in high-growth fields. No experience is necessary. Learn at your own pace. Complete the online certificate program on your own terms. Stand out to employers, get on a path to in-demand jobs, and connect with top employers who are currently hiring. Take one professional career certificate program or all 6. Earn a Google Career Certificate to prepare for a job in a high-growth field like data analytics, project management, UX design, cybersecurity, and more. All professional career certificate programs must be completed by December 31st, 2024. Scan the QR code to complete the application. There are 1,000 scholarships available. Grow with Google and J. Hood and Associates. Be job ready and qualify for in-demand jobs.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it.
This is about covering us.
Invest in black-owned media.
Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks.
We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind $100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible.
Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
On the next Get Wealthy with me, Deborah Owens, have you ever had $1 million idea and wondered how to bring it to life? Well, it's all about turning problems into opportunities. On our next Get Wealthy, you'll learn of a woman who identified the overload bag syndrome, and now she's taking that money to the bank through global sales in major department stores.
And I was just struggling with 2 or 3 bags on the train. And I looked around on the train and I said, you know what? There are a lot of women that are carrying two or 3 bags.
That's right here on Get Wealthy, only on Black Star Network.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr, working under the constant threat of violence. Nearly 50 bomb threats over dozens of HBCU campuses in 2022. We'll talk to our HBCU Master Teacher Roundtable about the stress, the strain, the frustrating lack of answers, and real community-grounded solutions to the threat of violence we face at HBCUs today. Join us for the Black Table, only on the Black Star Network.
Hello, I'm Jamia Pugh. I am from Coatesville, Pennsylvania, just an hour right outside of Philadelphia.
My name is Jasmine Pugh. I'm also from Coatesville, Pennsylvania.
You are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. Stay right here.
Dr. Greg Carr, Department of Afro-American Studies at Howard University. Glad to have Greg on the show. Reese Colbert hosts the Reese Colbert Show, Sirius XM Radio out of D.C., along Victoria Burke, Black Press USA out of Arlington, Virginia, and smart for her to wear a Brooklyn Dodgers hat because her Yankees suck. All right, let's get right to it. I'll start with you, Greg. You heard John Kirby there say they don't believe right now is the time for a ceasefire. These are indeed delicate negotiations, not just the United States, multiple other countries involved. This has political implications on 2024. Just your thought process on where we are with this Israel-Gaza battle, war.
First of all, thank you, Roland. And I have to, at the onset, applaud your courage. And this is why independent media is so important. I mean, you have to speak truth to power. We saw what happened to Mehdi Hassan today at MSNBC, for example, for simply speaking truth to power. I don't believe a word that comes out of the State Department or the federal government. The Biden administration is playing with fire in domestic policy, particularly the re-election campaign, because people are increasingly soured by this total defense of the Israeli Defense Forces and the government of Israel. Notice I didn't say the Jews, so to speak, and I didn't say Israel. I said the government of Israel, the Netanyahu government and the IDF.
there are reports, wide reports now being reported that the IDF has an extensive map of Gaza. They know about private residences, public buildings, high-rise blocks, and civilian infrastructure. They're engaged by reports, some intelligence reports coming out of Israel, they're engaged in the process of trying to create a shock to drive the Palestinian people away from a Hamas that they have been supporting all along to have a convenient enemy. At the same time, they're eager to resume the war. Now they're talking about bombing the south part of Gaza. Israel wants to get back in this war. And the State Department saying that Blinken is putting pressure and the State Department's putting pressure on the Israeli Defense Force, I have no doubt that they are, but there's no evidence that that's going to be effective. The hostage swap that has been taking place so far at a 3-to-1 rate, by the way, because nobody really talks a lot about the number of Palestinians who are in custody in Israel who are not Hamas. That swap, as these hostages are being released, is delaying what Israel really seems to be their end game, which is to bomb the Palestinians into submission using the excuse that they're going after Hamas. A very legitimate reason, but not one that we have any evidence has been effective. In fact, quite finally, the contrary. They're building, ultimately, the types of resentments in this mass slaughter, what's been called a mass assassination factory. They're building the elements of a Hamas Part 2 out of everyone who loses family members and folks who are harmed. So the State Department is under extreme pressure, and the other countries are definitely involved as well.
The point I made to John Reese about the impact on the poll numbers of President Biden, they are real. It's not just what you hear on social media. There were people talking about a lot of the conversations happening around Thanksgiving dinner table in terms of Muslim voters in this country, African Americans, young people in this country. And so, as I said, this puts into serious jeopardy the possibility of a second term for Biden-Harris.
It really does. I'm a person who's been very bullish on a second term until this conflict broke out. Now, I think it's a very serious problem, and I think that people who have concerns have legitimate concerns. The reality is that the administration has pivoted in terms of their rhetoric from what we saw right after the attack, and they have even pivoted on their actions and in the pressure that they're putting on Israel. But the other reality is that these numbers are probably as good as it gets should this conflict move on, because what we're seeing out of Gaza has not even been weaponized yet. It is unconscionable and it is appalling on its face. It doesn't even need to be disseminated in a way to get people ginned up. It's irrefutably horrible. And there are conversations that are happening, whispering conversations, because people don't feel necessarily comfortable saying it at the risk of losing their jobs or other situations. But this is a legitimate concern that people have, and being dismissive and talking about the lesser of two evils and what Trump is going to do is just not something that's going to resonate. The only thing that's going to resonate is for this administration to be effective in terms of pressuring Netanyahu. And what they can't do, they need to be honest, as opposed to providing cover in the rhetoric to the actions of the IDF. So I think if they don't really take this seriously, and the voters that they can potentially be losing, because mind you, the voters that they're losing are not people who don't vote. They're losing people that have been voting for them all along, that they need to keep on the ship, in addition to the people that they need to get off the sidelines that did not vote in the midterm. So I'm concerned about this, not just for the political purposes, but for the human carnage purposes. It's really appalling. And I think it's very easy to make a domestic policy case for Biden-Harris 2024, but it's going to be very challenging to make a case overall for people who draw a red line in what we're seeing in Israel and Gaza.
Lauren?
Yeah, you know what? I think that we're a country that unfortunately has a problem really focusing on things for very long. And even though I do think right now, certainly this is a really hot topic, I would be surprised if somewhere, next year in the middle of the summer that we would still be focused on this. But for right now, yes, of course it's a hot topic. And I do think Biden has a huge political problem with this, to say the least, not to mention the money piece here, which is that there's a lot of people bringing up that we have a lot of problems here in the United States that we never seem to figure out, never seem to get focused on, and we're sending billions and billions of dollars overseas. And, you know, obviously the argument would be that these things are valid to send X amount of money, but I do think that constituents, you know, these members of Congress hear from their constituents on a very bread and butter, very basic level when it comes to money. And when you hear repeatedly that there are certain things that can never get paid for in the United States, and then, you know, 2 weeks later you hear the Congress is about to allocate billions of dollars to Ukraine and the Middle East, that does not sit well with a lot of constituents. That's another issue that's in there. I don't think that this is not tenable to be talking about thousands of kids getting killed and losing their lives, and you know, you're hearing these things about uprisings at the State Department on Capitol Hill and staff not being disgruntled about this. I mean, these things cannot go on forever. I was a little surprised, frankly, to hear Mr. Kirby say that, you know, yeah, this is a pause, but we can't really have a pause for long. We're not really interested that much in a ceasefire. We're going to go back to what we were doing. I'm not sure that they can, you know, continue with that for very much longer.
Look, it is absolutely challenging. Also remind people, 1991, Greg, George W. Bush had a 91%, George H.W. Bush had a 91% approval rating after the Iraq War. 1 year later, he was packing.
Absolutely. Well, you know, it's funny, and Lauren, you're absolutely right about the short-term and long-term memory of people here in the country. It'll be interesting to see, and I think the reason that he said that, the reason Kirby said that, is because that's what the Israelis are saying. They are chomping to get back at the bombing. And the State Department knows that. The Biden administration knows that. They're trying their best, but at the same time, they're kicking those Israelis like, what the hell is wrong with y'all? The economies in the surrounding region are being, you know, kind of destabilized. The Israeli economy has been destabilized. You're calling tens of thousands of people, reservists, into open war now in the military, and you're not backfilling them in everything from grocery stores to farms. In fact, Malawi just announced that they've struck a deal with the Israelis to send Malawian workers to Israel because those people are no longer in the field to do the farming. But I'm raising all that as a prelude to what you just raised, Roland. You know, in a moment, this whole thing could disappear in terms of memory. Today, we just saw Henry Kissinger finally go in at 100 years old, and we are all, although, you know, in the case of Reese, maybe, and Lauren, maybe just barely, remember, I know I was a kid too, as you, Roland, but we remember Henry Kissinger's crimes. This guy has been called an international war criminal. But when I ask my students, do y'all know who Henry Kissinger is? Not one of them put their hands up. We had to walk through the history of not only Vietnam and Laos, but what happened in Angola and all of the crimes that the Kissinger, under several presidents, advisor up to and through the current president, Biden, going to see Xi Jinping, dealing with China, what happened in with the Khmer Rouge and all that. They knew nothing about it. So I can't agree more, Lauren. This time next year, when we're right in the wake of a presidential election, who knows what the impact this will have. But the challenge isn't just them bombing, isn't just their no end game in terms of what they're trying to do in Gaza and West Bank. The challenge is the repercussions of what they do whenever this stops that will continue to echo up to and through the presidential election cycle. And none of us can predict those consequences.
And when we look at that, Reese, when we begin to understand that, we also are dealing with an election where, sure, Trump is leading, but he's not the nominee. A year from now, 11 months from now, 10 months from now, it becomes very clear. It will be, barring something happening to one or both of them, it will be Biden-Trump. Then people are going to have to make a decision. Do they vote for Biden? Do they vote for Trump? Do they vote third party? Or do they sit out? And then sitting out has its own implications.
Right. I mean, look, a lot can change between now and 2024 for the better, for the worse. I would not bank on people having short memories because as I have been sounding the alarm for many, many years, There is this thing called weaponized information, disinformation and misinformation. I saw as a Kamala Harris supporter the way this falsehood about truancy was weaponized to destroy Vice President Kamala Harris's presidential campaign. The falsehoods about her locking up Black people for weed. And so if you can take things that didn't happen and weaponize them to be harmful towards a candidate, then you can certainly take things like what we're seeing right now in Gaza and weaponize those to be catastrophic. And so I think people should not underestimate how what we've seen can be weaponized in a way that will be very harmful to Democrats. And it will not matter that the Republicans would not have made a different decision. It does not matter that there's no daylight in between those two parties for the most part on this issue, because the Democrats are not going to be weaponizing this information against Republicans. It'll be the Republicans weaponizing the information against Democrats. So I think that people should really take this seriously. And no, I'm not saying support Donald Trump. And no, I'm not encouraging people to support the Republicans. What I'm saying is be fucking for real and understand that there are people that are not okay with what we're seeing. And how do you reach those people? Part of the way you reach them is to get the administration to course correct, not just on their rhetoric, but on their actions. And where their actions cannot align with rhetoric, they need to course correct and not just parrot what Netanyahu and the IDF is saying. The sooner that they get some independence between the IDF's Netanyahu's talking points and their own talking points, the better it will be for the administration and by extension, the country, because we cannot afford a Trump or even DeSantis, Haley, whoever the hell administration in 2024. So they have to really face the reality here, and it's not pretty.
Lauren, final comment.
Well, my final comment is, one way this does go into next year politically is that AIPAC has targeted 6 members of of Congress. They're not all members of the CBC because one of them is AOC, but Summerlee and Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar are targeted by AIPAC. That's one way that this becomes a discussion in next year's politics, particularly when we're dealing with a situation where the Democrats are trying to win the House. Obviously, these would be primaries. So the primary candidate would likely be the ultimate winner and a Democrat. Still, there's a discussion to be had, a political discussion as to how the Middle Eastern politics affect domestic politics here at home. And that's one of the discussions. And it's been interesting, quite frankly, to notice that the Congressional Black Caucus has been very silent about the fact that AIPAC is targeting 5 of their members.
And we'll see what happens there. Hold tight 1 second. Got to go to break. We'll be right back. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
And this week on The Frequency, we talk about school to prison pipeline, book bans, and representing for women's rights. The group Moms Rising handles all of this. So join me in this conversation with my guest, Monifa Bandelli.
This is white backlash. This is white fear that happens every time Black people in the United States help to walk the United States forward towards what is written on the paper.
Right here on The Frequency on the Black Star Network.
I'm Faraji Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture. Weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for a Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Next on the Black Table, with me, Greg Carr, working under the constant threat of violence. Nearly 50 bomb threats over dozens of HBCU campuses. In 2022, we'll talk to our HBCU Master Teacher Roundtable about the stress, the strain, the frustrating lack of answers, and real community-grounded solutions to the threat of violence we face at HBCUs today. Join us for the Black Table, only on the Black Star Network.
Hello, I'm Marissa Mitchell, a news anchor at Fox 5 DC.
Hey, what's up? It's Tammy Roman, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks. So how many times have I told y'all how mainstream networks work and how these media enablers around them work? So last week, I had Mark Fisher on the show, who used to be involved with the Black Lives Matter chapter in Rhode Island that's not affiliated with the actual Black Lives Matter network. And at the end of the day, he couldn't answer a damn thing. But he goes on Fox News, they have him on Fox News, Lawrence B. Jones interviews him. It's an absolute joke. But then New York Post picks it up, Mediaite, which covers the media site, picks it up, and so all of a sudden then other folks start writing the story. Now, understand, Mediaite didn't do a write-up on our segment. They had a 3.5-minute segment on Fox. We had about 30 minutes, about 36 minutes on this show. They didn't write that up. They love writing up these other segments. They love talking about what's on Fox News and CNN and whatever Megyn Kelly has to say, but they rarely actually do black-owned media. But I want y'all to see the difference when we talk about when and how mainstream media does these stories when you definitely don't see any sort of fact-checking. So just watch this for a second. Yeah, go ahead and pull it up.
Now the co-founder of Black Lives Matter Rhode Island, Mark Fisher. Mark, thanks so much for joining the program. This is my favorite story of the day because it identifies with what I've seen in the barbershop. All the brothers, for some reason right now, are turning tides right now. And I just wonder, what is the big reason? Now to this.
Yeah. Let's freeze right there. First of all, everybody knows that all the brothers, Lawrence, ain't turning no tide. So let's just go ahead and which barbershop you go to? Let's be for real. I mean, you like Philip in Indianapolis, who didn't live in Indianapolis, but lived in one of them suburbs. Come on, Lawrence. Let's be real here, Lawrence. Which barbershop you actually go to? Please, Lawrence, by all means, let us know that black barbershop. But let me go ahead and play. A little bit more. It looks like I had taken it out. I'm gonna play a little bit more because I just get a kick out of how all of a sudden. Because also, by the way, Trump was excited and happy with this so-called endorsement, if you will, from Mark Fisher. But these are the same folks who hate Black Lives Matter. So they're now touting a individual who's involved in the Rhode Island chapter Black Lives Matter, but they hate Black Lives Matter, but now they're trying to actually weaponize Black Lives Matter in their favor because they think it's actually going to do them some good. All right, go ahead. Let's see, play it. Go. Oh, give me 1 second. This thing is acting up here. Give me 1 second. Let me pull this thing up. Because, like I said, I saw this segment, and I've been laughing ever since. Let's see. You should be able to have it now. Go ahead and go to it. Let's see.
Joining us now, the co-founder of Black Lives Matter Rhode Island, Mark Fisher. Mark, thanks so much for joining the program. This is my favorite story of the day because it identifies with what I've seen in the barbershop. All the brothers, for some reason right now, are turning tides right now. And I just wonder, what is the big reason?
I think personally it's the duplicity of the Democrats, the hypocrisy. We're not stupid. The brothers are not stupid. We understand when someone's for us and when someone is not. And it's obvious that the Democratic Party is not for us.
Yeah, I keep...
Their policies actually strike at the heart of the black family and the nuclear family.
Yeah, so, you know, you were part of Black Lives Matter. You founded it there. And now you're saying, you're not saying the entire Republican Party, you're saying Donald Trump. So what is it about Donald Trump? Is it the economics? You noted the black family. What is it going to take for him to shore up this support amongst black voters?
Well, I just think that it's going to take information. A lot of people are misinformed. They don't really understand because they don't educate themselves on Donald Trump as a person and his history. But if they do that, and it's going to take, you know, leaders, educated leaders, getting the word out there, I think that it'll happen on its own and it'll be organic because personally, I love the man. I mean, how could you not like if a real man? How could you not relate to someone like that?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me pause that right here. Okay, so you heard Mark say that. Now he said, "Oh, educated on the issues." Y'all, he spent 36 minutes on this show, couldn't answer a damn question, literally could not provide any facts whatsoever. He talked about what Donald Trump done black people and was absolutely wrong. Was absolutely wrong. But see, again, I need y'all to understand what Fox News and what the GOP wants to do. They're going to try to prop up him, and I'm calling it right now. Don't be shocked if you see Mark Fisher speaking at a Trump rally. And so when he says that we are susceptible to misinformation, no, that's actually what he's doing. Like, he literally came on this show and was lying. And I was like busting up the lie and was saying, say, man, that was utter nonsense. And you see what he does when he goes on Fox News. And again, Lawrence Jones ain't gonna sit here and truly question him with facts. Lawrence is gonna sit there and play the same okey-doke game and advance these lies and what he's done, how amazing he's been. Okay, it's only about a minute left for this. Go back to this here.
On its own, and it'll be organic because personally, I love the man. I mean, how could you not like if a real man? How could you not relate to someone like that?
Yeah, he watches every morning, so I'm sure he's cheering as you're saying this. We looked at some of the polls for Trump over Biden in the battleground states. In 2020, it was 8%. Now in 2023, he has 22%. And that's just not black men. So the election is right around the corner. If you had the opportunity to talk to the former president, I'm sure he's watching right now, what would you tell him?
Call me on my cell phone, man. I'll stop for Trump.
Mark, I'm fascinated by you. Why did you end up leaving Black Lives Matter? Or are you still affiliated with it?
No, I'm still affiliated with it all day. Because the thing about it is my message that I preach and that I tout is unity. It's a message of unity. It's unity driven. I want to bring together all the marginalized groups from the...
Okay, all right, so enough of that nonsense. So this is what I need people to understand. I need y'all to always to recognize the grifting game when you see it. When Mark finished this show, my producer walked him downstairs, and they were going back and forth, and she literally said, "Do you believe the stuff that you're saying?" And he said, "No." He said, "We got to shake this thing up." See, what I need y'all to understand is some other black folks just like him, and some of y'all listen to them with their little YouTube channels, and this is what they say: we got to shake this thing up. This was a 3.5-minute interview. Did y'all hear one policy that was brought up? Did y'all hear one thing that's brought? No, it was, ooh, Trump a strong man. We need somebody strong, and I love the guy. That's what they do. So what they do is, and yeah, there's some other black men, and I've heard them, yeah, man, Trump, when he say he gonna do something, he do it. Yeah, like grab a woman by her vagina. Like lead domestic terrorists on January 6th. And then when you fall for the okie doke and the lies, such as he fully funded HBCUs when he didn't, when you got black people running around talking about, yeah, man, our pockets were full when Trump was president, COVID money, PPP, other stimulus money. And let's be real clear. If you are not top 1%, you did not benefit from that Trump $1.8 trillion tax cut. And my issue is not with somebody black voting Republican. There are other black people who I know who vote Republican. But what I'm not going to do is let you just lie and make stuff up and then try to act like we're the ones who are stupid. Go back to my panel here. The reality, Reese, we know the game that folks play. And as I said, you didn't hear a single policy brought up in that whole conversation. All you heard was a bunch of mumbo jumbo and Lawrence B. Jones fanning out because a black dude from Rhode Island who is affiliated with the Black Lives Matter chapter there all of a sudden said he loved him some Donald Trump.
Yeah, I mean, he's auditioning for maybe HUD secretary under Trump 2024 because obviously Trump doesn't feel like you need to be qualified to be in that position as long as you're black. I mean, it's really ridiculous and absurd to try to paint a person who is facing 91 counts on multiple state and federal local charges as a person of character is absurd. We've seen how Donald Trump has acted reprehensibly for decades now. Like, this is just straight up bullshit. And he's just being a buffoon and a black face, black foot soldier of white supremacy, hoping to get a check out of it. But it don't seem to be upgraded too much. His background ain't looking any better. He ain't got a better camera, better wardrobe, nothing, Chad. Like, if you grifting, you still in stage A of grifting. You need to be getting a little bit more money up front before you sell this much of your soul, homeboy, because we ain't buying it, and Republicans ain't buying it with enough money.
The thing here, Lauren, is you look at some of these other people, that fool Officer Tatum, he been running from me for years. Candace Owens been running for years as well. Again, the people who don't know, it's easy to be duped by these dupes. But when you sit here and walk them down and you walk them through the facts, they can't answer any of the questions. So what they do is they try to be loud. They try to throw out bumper sticker phrases, and they try to go with the plantation language and thinking that's what's going to sit here and push somebody back. And I'm like, no, we're not going to fall for it. And I've had other people, Lauren, say, man, I don't know why you had them on. I said, because you have to expose stupidity so people then understand what the real game is.
Yeah, I really think that when we look at these people, you know, obviously we're going to have several episodes of this. We already had the Sexy Red episode. Now we're having the Mark Fisher episode. I'm sure we'll have some rap star that the Republicans, we had the Kanye West last cycle. Oh, Kanye West is running for president. I mean, and this all comes from the fact, unfortunately, that the powers that be in right-wing media think black people are stupid. That's what this really is. They think black people are stupid. They think if you throw a rapper in front of us and the rapper tells us to do something, you know, we're going to do it. And there's absolutely no evidence of any of that. There's no evidence whatsoever. The two biggest, most loyal voting blocs for the Democratic Party currently are black women followed by black men. It's been that way cycle after cycle, and it will be that way again next year. The question will be what the level of intensity of that turnout will be. But this idea that you're going to throw a rapper out there, or an actor, or a Hollywood star, or something like that, and then all the black people are going to be, you know, foolish, that's crazy. And of course, Fox News leads the pack at this idea that, you know, you can throw some guy on. Remember, none of these people are validators, are people who African Americans trust or care about, okay? Nobody is looking at Fox News and believing anyone who says that they're hearing this in a barbershop, that everybody's going for Donald Trump. That is craziness. But of course they're going to try to throw that out. These people are not validators. Nobody cares what they say. Nobody cares who Mark Fisher is, you know, and so that's the reality of it. The numbers will reflect that next November. And the question will be, will these third-party candidates get enough support to shave off enough support to make things closer than they probably should be? Of course, remembering, of course, that Joe Biden won by 8 million votes last time, but you got to remember, too, that this is all an outgrowth of the fact that we have gone now 20 years. 2024 will mark 20 years that the Republican Party has not won the popular vote. They know that. And that's why we're playing these games of rolling idiots out that nobody has ever heard of to say that black people are going to support Donald Trump. And, you know, as I said, there's no evidence. And, you know, Fox News loves their black flunkies. They love their Leo Terrells. They love their Jason Whitlock. You know, and once again, these people are clowns. I think they're regarded as clowns for the most part in the black voting community. There is no evidence that they have any influence.
Greg, what also is so funny to me is that it always cracks me up that when one of these utterly confused Negroes, when you talk to them, they always go, "I'm a free thinker," as if the rest of us don't think. "I'm an independent thinker." Well, so are we. We just actually think.
Absolutely. I mean, you really said it all, Roland, when you framed this by saying that when your producer walked him downstairs, he said he didn't believe it. This is a hack. This is a rented person. And you know, and it does belie logic. But we're not talking about logic here. I mean, let's sit here and think about this. On the 30th of November, 2023, we're actually talking about Donald Trump potentially being returned to the White House. That should tell you the state of affairs in this country.
Yep.
Argentina just elected a purebred fool to be the president of Argentina. So it isn't just an American malaise, but what we're seeing here, there are a lot of moving parts. I agree with Cliff Albright, and you know, Cliff is a staple on this network. You all talk extensively, Cliff and Latosha. And Cliff's like, you know, just like we heard a minute ago, Lauren, in the earlier segment, you know, let's just wait until this time next year before you start polling people about this, because I suspect the answer will be a little different. But if we're trying to read tea leaves, when Coke is now backing Nikki Haley, the people who are looking at this are betting that Donald Trump may not be the candidate. Nikki Haley, propping Nikki Haley up, will that be enough to save the white nationalists? It might be. But Donald Trump just announcing that if he's reelected, he's going to dismantle Obamacare. In the same week, I think Friday, Roy Cooper is going to sign legislation expanding Obamacare to the 40th state in the union. The Republicans are like, this guy got to shut up. On that side, they are desperate trying to stop Trump, trying to prop up Nikki Haley. I mean, hell, and then tonight, I think, is it later tonight, that DeSantis and Newsom supposed to be debating in Alpharetta, Georgia. I mean, right now, this is cacophony. But at the center of it is a white nationalist fascist who is, if he is reelected, promising to lock people up by the millions in cages, to deport people by the millions, to destroy Obamacare. And meanwhile, you got people like this brother coming on this platform, going on Fox, because somebody gave him a couple of nickels or the promise of a penny more, like Reese said, to put out whatever shill he needs to put out, because he, unlike the millions who will be harmed if these white nationalists get back into power, he, unlike them, will have his 30 pieces of silver. He should not only be dismantled, now in with this, by facts, by consistently drumming out the facts and keep hammering at the facts, but at some point, we've got to do what you've been doing all along, which, by the way, as you're making the point, mass commercial media is trying to give itself credit for, as if you weren't calling Donald Trump a liar from jump. I saw Lawrence O'Donnell yesterday saying they were the first news platform to do that. And I'm saying, dude, come on, y'all still running that? Nope. But in addition to hammering the facts, we've got to now understand this is a pure propaganda war. And we got to treat it like a propaganda war and stop acting like these people are talking about the truth when they say themselves they don't believe it.
Yep. Again, you counter the propaganda with actual truth, and you decimate them. See, I love, last point I'm going to make here before I go to break. Like, I love some of these so-called conscious Negroes out there on social media who go, yeah, well, you were debating that white supremacist Richard Spencer. You didn't go at him like you go at some black people. And my response to them always is, you're a perfect example of someone who has, one, no relevance, two, doesn't understand what the purpose was. See, what all these people forget is the New York Times and the Washington Post had done these stories that I thought were frankly insulting on Richard Spencer, talking about the clothes that he wore and him going to a private school in Dallas and his whole it was like this nice sheen over his white supremacy. And that's when I said, book him on the show, because I need to expose the idiot. And it was after he came on my TV One show and I exposed the idiot when all the pieces for him began to crumble. Then it got so bad the boy had to move to Montana or somewhere with his mama because he got sued by everybody, lost everything, got kicked out, and he damn near became a Democrat. Because he just lost everything. And so what I keep trying to explain to people, you can't run from these loudmouths. You must run to them and expose them. That's why Fox News will never call me. And I've emailed their producers because they like, nah, we ain't putting that one on. See, they love loud. They love loud and crazy. They love that, okay? But there's some folk they not going to call because they be like, yeah, we're going to leave that one alone. And so I need our people to understand what the game is, because we're going to see a lot more people like Mark Fisher over the next year. And guess what? We're going to take them apart one by one. Speaking of taking apart, coming up next, why is a white elected official in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, targeting a black-owned restaurant? Is that what your job's supposed to be? I keep telling y'all, voting matters. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. YouTube folks, hit that like button, y'all. We should easily be over 1,000 likes after the first hour of the show. Also, support us by joining our Bring the Funk fan club. Look, the work that we do, folks, ain't free. The studio is not free. The staff is not free. The streaming equipment is not free. Our expenses are $195,000 a month. And so we're fighting a good fight out of here when it comes to these advertisers, but we need your support as well. We're $230,000 down from where we were last year from our fan base. So please send your check and money order, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. Cash App, $RM Unfiltered. PayPal, R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen shooting.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Hello, we're the Critter Fixers. I'm Dr. Bernard Hodges.
And I'm Dr. Terrence Ferguson.
And you're tuned in to
Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, sit at home and let the wrong people get elected. That's what happened when you sit on your ass. Well, the other day, Gary Chambers posted this about a Baton Rouge, Louisiana restaurant being targeted by Denise Amoroso, the District 8 City Councilwoman in Baton Rouge, allegedly working with residents to shut down Ball and Roux, a black-owned restaurant. Check this out.
Now, for all the people who like to brunch but don't like to vote, let me show you how people are actively working to shut down what you enjoy because people like you don't vote.
I'm looking to get Maurice Walker shut down off of a code violation.
This is Denise Amoroso. She's a city councilwoman here in Baton Rouge who held a community meeting after this group of people lost in court trying to shut down this black business. They are now going to try to weaponize the government to shut down this black business, spearheaded by her using a parish attorney. Let me show you.
We've communicated to VRPD to tell them to enforce any laws, whether it's parking, noise, murder, whatever it may be, okay? They have absolutely the right to go ahead and enforce the laws at that time, at that place. I don't think they honestly care, okay? And they're not doing their job. And I can't force them to do their job. Right. The only person that can force the police to do their job is the mayor president through Murphy Hall. And we've all seen what that has been. And I'm just being honest, and I'm just airing our dirty laundry out of the city.
This is Paulo Messina. He's the man who's talking in the video on the phone with the city councilwoman who's at the meeting, and he's a parish attorney for the city of Baton Rouge. He's trash talking the black mayor, trash talking the black chief of police, saying that the police department ain't going to do their job, and he's saying what he is going to do with his power as a parish attorney to help the city council member shut this black business down, even after they already lost in court and had it thrown out, because they aren't making violations, they're just annoying their neighbors.
We will build the case brick by brick. First one is to get the board to respond. If the board doesn't respond in the way that I want them to, I have another step that I can take. But assuming that the board does revoke them or suspend them until they come into compliance, then what will happen is I will take that order from the board, I will forward it to VRPD and tell them they are now required to do that. If they don't do that, I have a couple of other things, options at my disposal. One is to bring the sheriff involved, okay, to bring the sheriff in. Second is I will have the ABC agents go out there and shut them down, okay? Third thing is, I can't really tell you what the third thing is, but it's pretty significant about what we would be doing, and it would not be pretty big.
So let me break it down for the people who don't vote. So Denise, the city councilwoman, called the lawyer, Paulo, on the phone with the people in the room, and they came up with a strategy to shut down your ability to go to Boiling Roux and have brunch on Sunday. And for people who don't vote and don't pay attention to elections, this is how the government impacts your life and the quality of your life just because you want to go into a community and enjoy Sunday brunch. It is that deep, that serious. And there's a meeting on December the 7th at the ABC board here in Baton Rouge where you can come and let Denise see you and let her know that you don't take too kindly to her having a meeting with Paulo and people in the community trying to stop black people from just enjoying a restaurant in the city of Baton Rouge. Y'all go vote here because it does impact your life.
Well, the owner of Boil and Roux, Maurice Walker, and advocate Eugene Collins, who exposed this alleged plot, join us right now. Glad to have you. First off, we reached out to Denise Amoroso for comment, but she did not respond to our email. Maurice, what the hell y'all doing to these people?
Man, we just trying to sell good food in the city of Baton Rouge, man. We're just trying to, make a honest living. That's it. That's all we're doing.
When did all of this start? And was there something that started this?
So, Mr. Martin, when we first encountered this issue, Mr. Walker called me about, I would say 3 years ago at this point, and said that there was some type of recording device that was pointed at their restaurant. At that time, I came out, I brought a private investigator that I sometimes work with to look at the device to tell me what it is. And this device was pointed directly at the restaurant. So the complaints that we believed at that point that were being lodged were coming from this device that we believe has some sort of amplifier in it. Let's just be clear, Mr. Martin. They don't want this business on this side of town. This is a major corridor in a majority white district, and they have done things time and time again to try to push this restaurant out of this district. And that's something that as long as Mr. Walker, and I know he's willing to fight, we're going to continue to push against this.
So, Maurice, how long have y'all been there?
We've been here 9 years, going on 10 years. We'll make 10 years February. Actually, Super Bowl Sunday is when we opened up 9 years ago.
And y'all haven't. It's not like y'all had code violations and people. You ain't had shootings, folks coming out there, fights breaking out.
None of that.
None of that stuff.
None of that.
But so are they angry that? And what's your clientele? Is it largely African American? Is it mixed?
It's largely African Americans. At times it is mixed. Again, I mean, it shouldn't go this far, man. Mr. Roland, it should not go this far at all.
Well, this sounds very much like what the Turkey Leg Hut went through in Houston. Exact same thing. They're on the Alameda corridor. The neighbors there, they were sitting here conspiring. They took them to court. They complained about the smoke. They complained about the traffic. They complained about the music. It was one thing after another. And it wasn't until they got their hands on an email chain, which they shared with us from the neighbors, where they literally were talking about plotting to catch them to do something wrong to get them taken out. I mean, but here's the problem here. Here you have a city official, and this guy who was on the recording, he's a city attorney, right?
Correct, sir.
So a city attorney who's being paid by taxpayers like you is sitting there talking about how they are plotting to take you out of business.
Yes, sir. And Mr. Martin, on top of that, not only was he plotting to take Baton Rouge out of business, but he's down talking our mayor and our police chief. And our police chief has been one of the most progressive chiefs in this country. So that's a stab at some of the progressive things that we've seen happen within BRPD. Now, we know we got some things to fix there, but that's a stab at that system as well. So he was taking multiple stabs at various systems, as well as continuing to pile on top of this restaurant. In addition to that, you asked about code violations, Mr. Martin. One thing they're going to cite is a code violation for not having a permit on Cinco de Mayo that this council person actually approved very late in the day, to the point that Mr. Walker did not have time to pick up that permit. Then that same council person allegedly sent the ABC board agents that night to the restaurant, knowing that Mr. Walker didn't have time to retrieve that permit to have it on site. They've just tried trick after trick after trick to seemingly target this business. And it's not only a great restaurant, this has been a good community partner. Last year, when apartment complex burned down, this restaurant brought those families into this restaurant and gave them toys, gave them gifts, made sure that they had apartments. In addition, when we were really being ran over with murders here locally, this restaurant actually pulled together multiple groups to do a toy drive together, multi-platinum recording artists together who were having some beef amongst each other. They pulled those groups together and actually got them to squash their beef. So they've not only been a good restaurant, they've been a great community partner to the African-American community here in Baton Rouge.
How has the community responded since this went public?
So, initially when we released the initial video of the Black Lives Matter mural, which really, let's get down to the crux of it, that's where this restaurant begun to have problems, when they painted a Black Lives Matter mural in their parking lot. And that's when the neighbors started to have complaints. That's when this council person actually came to this restaurant and asked the ownership group at that time exactly what was they trying to hoping to accomplish by putting this mural in the parking lot. And she thought that mural was divisive and that it would attract negative things and different groups on opposing sides to have negative reactions to it, right? That's where this issue started, right there with that mural being painted in this parking lot. And that was posted to a local community platform here, Getaways. And that's where the issue actually originated from, this restaurant painting a Black Lives Matter mural in their parking lot.
Questions from our panel. Reese, you first.
Yes. First of all, I want to say your establishment sounds wonderful. Can you talk a little bit about, I saw some coverage about there are white establishments, or I guess you say non-Black establishments in the vicinity that also have noise or music and other things. Can you talk about the discrepancy between how those businesses have been treated as opposed to yours?
Well, roughly, we can say I have a restaurant that is less than half a mile away from me, also that does live music every Friday and Saturday. And I never hear any complaints from the neighbors that are right there. Also, we're all in the same community. So, again, we are just being targeted for what we are doing, was nothing different that any other restaurant in the area is doing. And again, I still don't understand this to this day. Why?
We know why. Y'all Black. Lauren.
Gentlemen, do you think that what is targeting, do you think it's illegal, and have you sought legal advice? I mean, it feels like something might be illegal there, but I don't know. Have you checked that?
So at this point, we brought on a civil rights attorney, Ronald Haley, to actually look at the legal aspects here, right? Because not only are we looking at what the council person did, but we also got to think about the alcohol beverage board as well, the ABC board here locally, and how they've used those agents basically as a goon squad to come in and intimidate the restaurant.
And let me explain this here, as with family of the catering business, my brother. So to the people out there watching and listening, do understand, liquor licenses are hard to come by. Extremely hard. Also, if you got a business, frankly, a liquor license is extremely profitable. And so what has happened across the country, they've attacked restaurants by going after the liquor license because that has to be approved by the state. So a lot of places, you lose your liquor license, you lose your biggest revenue generator. And so folks just need to understand how they target folks by using bureaucracy against individuals like yourself.
And in addition to that, Mr. Martin, you know, this restaurant is not serving liquor to underage folks, right? They're trying to find other small issues to attack, to tie it to having the ability to take their liquor license, knowing that that's their biggest revenue generator. And if you're able to take this restaurant's liquor license, essentially they cannot continue to exist in this site for much longer. And Mr. Martin, you're spot on. That's how they're attacking Black restaurants here locally, by just tackling the issue around their liquor license and trying to take those licenses, making sure that they don't have the ability to have the largest revenue generator in their restaurant, knowing that that will eventually shut them down.
Greg.
Thank you, Roland, and thank you, Brothers Walker and Collins. You know, listening to this reminds me of that line from Yasin Bey in his song, Mr. N-Word. He said, if white boys doing it, well, it's success. When I start doing it, well, it's suspect. And I'm wondering, I have a question. I have a question as it relates to Baton Rouge, politics of Baton Rouge, and where the restaurant is located. It's been a while since I've been down there visiting friends and down there at Southern University, Baton Rouge. So are you on the LSU side of town? Are they bothering the white boys that have their restaurants? And last I heard, I think an LSU graduate is Paulo Messina, who went to law school at LSU. Word is that he resigned about a week and a half ago from his position. I don't know. Could you answer, you know, what are the politics of geography, where you're located, and are they messing with you and not messing with the white boys around there? Is it an LSU crowd that they're afraid of you're going to get some of this business from?
So it's not necessarily an LSU crowd. Where the restaurant is actually situated, it's a little bit from LSU. It's on the southern side of Southern University, so it's not really a collegiate crowd. You're talking about Baton Rouge crowd mostly being young Black professionals, and that's what they're scared of.
Mm-hmm. What about Messina? Did he resign? I read something, I think, on the 21st he left his position.
So we saw that they printed that he resigned, but every source that we talked to said that he was terminated. So we're unsure about what to believe.
All right, well, gentlemen, certainly keep us abreast of what's going on down there. And the next time I'm going through Baton Rouge. So, what y'all got in the menu? Y'all got boudin, y'all got gumbo. What y'all got?
Yeah, we have boudin, we have gumbo. I'm glad you touched on those two subjects. We have red beans and rice. We have etouffee, fried catfish, grilled, fried. I mean, however you like it. I mean, actually, it's a Southern comfort food. And, you know, I'm a scratch kitchen. So, again, we pride ourselves on quality in our foods that we make here in Baton Rouge.
All right.
I mean, hey, when you come down, Mr. Martin, I got you, man. Trust me.
Some of the best turkey wings you're ever going to taste, Mr. Martin.
You see the best turkey what?
The best turkey wing you ever going to taste.
All right, now y'all got to compete with Turkey Leg Hut in Houston now. I'm from H-Town, and my grandparents from Opelousas, Louisiana, so I'll taste test that gumbo for myself and see what it's like.
Food, then. You know good food.
Oh, no, I know good food with a brother's an executive chef and a dad is an executive chef, so absolutely. All right, gentlemen, keep us abreast. Thanks a lot.
Yes, sir. Thanks again.
Folks, going to a break. We come back. Black man suing Dallas police for a shooting. We'll also tell you a black family in Fort Worth, Texas, has settled with the city over the shooting death of Atiana Jefferson. We'll talk about that. And, ooh, Lord, Republicans are losing their damn mind on Capitol Hill. One, they walk out of a Judiciary Committee hearing, and they going ham on George Santos. But then he hit one back saying, man, you a woman beater. Y'all, they are truly losing their mind. And I'm here to absolutely be petty and show you all of it. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered right here on the Black Star Network.
Grow your business or career with Grow with Google's wide range of online courses, digital training, and tools. Gain in-demand job skills with flexible online training programs designed to put you on the fast track to jobs in high-growth fields. No experience is necessary. Learn at your own pace. Complete the online certificate program on your own terms. Stand out to employers, get on a path to in-demand jobs, and connect with top employers who are currently hiring. Take one professional career certificate program or all 6. Earn a Google Career Certificate to prepare for a job in a high-growth field like data analytics, project management, UX design, cybersecurity, and more. All professional career certificate programs must be completed by December 31st, 2024. Scan the QR code to complete the application. There are 1,000 scholarships available. Grow with Google and J. Hood and Associates. Be job ready and qualify for in-demand jobs.
I'm Faraji Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture. Weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
Hello, I'm Paula J. Parker. Truly proud on the Proud Family.
I am Tommy Davidson. I play Oscar on Proud Family, Louder and Proud.
Hi, I'm Jo Marie Payton, voice of Sugar Mama on Disney's Louder and Prouder, Disney Plus. And I'm with Roland Martin on Unfiltered.
Folks, Silvester Hayes, the black single father whom Dallas police officers mistakenly detained, is here with a member of his legal team. Now, this story is quite an interesting one. And, you know, we have to deal with this all the time in these stories that we always deal with. And that is he's suing several Dallas cops for a 2021 arrest for using excessive force after mistaking him for a violent crime suspect with a similar name. He's a single father. Silvester was on his way to pick up breakfast for his kids when he was pulled over for a suspected traffic violation. He claims that the officers involved and about 8 others, first of all, unnamed officers, kicked him, punched him, tased him, dislocated his arm before realizing they had the wrong person. The video we're about to show you is certainly tough to watch, and so if you want to turn away if you want to. So just check this out, folks.
Come on, step up with me.
I'll explain it to you.
I didn't give you permission to do that.
I know. Step out. I'll explain everything.
No, sir. Tell me why.
I'll explain.
No, I didn't give you permission. I didn't give you permission to. I'm pulling up.
Right now, you are being detained. Come on and step out, bro. Come on and step out. Come on and step out. You're gonna get tased. Come on and step out. Come on and step out, bro. Come on and step out. Come on and step out. Come on and step out.
Bro.
Step out.
What are y'all? Man, hold on, bro.
Come on and step out.
Come on and step out.
Come on and step out.
What are y'all?
Come on and step out.
Y'all pulling on me for what?
Come on and step out.
Hold on. Y'all, I didn't give y'all permission. Bro, hold on. I ain't about to do this. Bro, this is my gun. Bro, this is my, bro, my nigga. My nigga. Bro, y'all got it, bro. Y'all got it. My nigga. Bro. My nigga. Bro, what the fuck? My nigga. Bro.
Stop resisting. Stop.
All right.
Stop resisting. Stop resisting. Stop resisting. Stop.
On my neck. You got your foot on my neck. Bro. Y'all got your foot on my neck, bro. What the fuck are y'all doing, bro?
We gotta get
Stop. Bro, stop. What am I being detained for, man?
Stop.
What am I being detained for?
If you let us tell you, we'll tell you. Shut up.
Right now. What am I being detained for, man? Y'all don't even know who y'all fucking with right now, bro. Bro, what are y'all, bro? My nigga. Bro,
Total time there's about 11 and a half minutes. Now, after all of this, down here the cops trying to figure out, damn, we got to charge his ass with something.
Cooley's food mart or barbecue.
Yeah, the barbecue spot, yeah.
So we were sitting at the church and we were just gonna start doing traffic. She's running plates.
Okay.
I'm like, hey, run that Hyundai. So she runs it and she was like, oh, let's look at the registered owner or whatever. So she does. She goes to AIS and that's a cross-reference and it pops up red. So she's like, okay. She kind of looks at it, but by that time we had already lost him. He had already gone into like the Family Dollar parking lot or whatever. The Family Dollar parking lot. So then, as she's searching, she finds out that the name that she put on there, whatever was on AIS, had continuous family violence, a warrant. So then, we get behind him up here because we see the car moving on Illinois. So we catch up to it and we get up here to Southern Oaks. And he fails to signal within 100 feet from the stop sign here in Southern Oaks and Overton. And as soon as he came up here, we obviously pulled him over.
So you got the reason for contact?
Yeah. So I pulled up to the car and I'm like, hey man, look, you got pulled over for this, this, and this. And he was like, well, that's not fair because you were watching me from the other side. I was like, yeah, we were on the other side of the light when you were crossing. So obviously, you know what I mean? Yeah. So then I was just like, you have your ID with you. And so he gives it to me. And obviously I handed it over to her and she's like, Silvester Hayes, like that's the name that was on the warrant. But
so you got a good warrant?
Well, there's I guess a lot of
He does have tickets.
He does have the tickets. So when I'm like, hey bro, so in order for us to be able to like fully investigate, like, because he was already acting weird, so I'm like, hey bro, like,
He was already giving him trouble.
I'm like, can you just step out of the car for me? Like, let's go to the back of the car. And at that point, he was like, for what? For what? And I'm like, bro, come on, man. And so that's whenever Reggie pulled up, and we tried to get him out of the car, and the fight was on.
Okay.
And then I was like, bro, come on.
So you got jail traffic, resisting arrest, right?
Yeah, we have failed to signal 100 feet, and then he has tickets. He had a gun in his pocket, because he kept going like this.
That's why he was acting so crazy.
Okay, because
he had a pistol in his freaking pocket. So, and at that point, whenever we were trying to get him out of the car, Whitman was on the other side. He was like, gun, right pocket, gun.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
is he a felon?
He has not been convicted. Or no felon?
No felon.
We have UCW resisting.
Resisting? Okay.
Resisting because.
Well, I don't know if we were going to be able to put the resistant because you can't resist detention. You can get him out of the car, but I mean, if the fight is on.
So who was on the driver's side?
I was.
So he was listening to your commands at the time, right?
No, he was not. As soon as I had to open the door when I was like, hey, come on, bro, come on, let's step out.
Because the witness saw the gun.
Well,
it's a safety at this point, right?
He saw the gun while we were trying to get him out of the car.
So you got, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
So when he was sitting down and we were, like me, Reggie, and I forget who else was next to me, we were trying to pull him out of the car.
Okay.
That's whenever women was trying to push him out. He was like, gun, right pocket, gun, right pocket.
Okay.
So.
But based on your investigation, you have probable cause to stop him because y'all looked at his name and his picture earlier and could identify him?
We couldn't see it in the car. So
but
that's the thing.
We have a traffic violation.
You got
a traffic violation, yeah.
Because of reason for contact.
Oh, man, they trying to figure it all out. We've seen this before, but y'all still got it wrong. Silvester, glad to have you here. Gabe Reed, a senior litigation consultant for the Roux Law Group as well. Thank you so very much. Silvester, obviously that was not a great experience to have to go through.
Not at all, man. It was crazy. I remember it like yesterday, man.
And to sit here and to watch that tape and hear the cops trying to figure out what, and he was just, he was all upset. Yeah, you upset because you're getting pulled over, and then you're upset you're getting yanked out of the car.
Exactly, man. It's like, I did everything. They pulled me over. They asked for my ID and everything, but I don't think the video kind of showed that. They pulled me over, asked for my ID. I give it to them. And they didn't even, walk back to the squad car and put my, run my name through the police database before they started pulling me out the vehicle. So that's why I'm like, what's going on? Because I know my record clean. I know my name. I know my background is clean and everything. So for me to give them my ID and everything they asked for, and they start, aggressively opening up my door and trying to pull me out, I'm like, hey, what's going on? What's going on? And all I could think about was my babies. I'm just trying to go get something to eat for my kids,
Absolutely crazy. Gabe, I'm sorry, I thought Gabe was with us. What is, have you heard from the city? What are they saying? Was there an apology from anybody?
No, I still haven't heard from them. They haven't reached out to me or said anything about, the whole situation, even though they have on video that their officer is saying, like, fuck, we have the wrong guy. Excuse my language.
It's all good. The show's called Unfiltered. Don't worry about it.
But yeah, they're like, fuck, we have the wrong guy. And even after that, they don't show any sympathy towards me, or try to make things right. Even though after they put their knees and everything else they can think of in my neck, you can't, and no way to make that right. But they didn't show any type of sympathy to, kind of lighten the load on me,
Wow, absolutely crazy there. Lawsuits has already been filed?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And y'all are seeking what?
At the moment is, we're just trying to make sure we get justice,
Absolutely. Well, Silvester, last question. Do you have any continuing pain or residual pain from this encounter?
Yes. Right now, I'm still trying to shake back from that situation. I'm just now starting to kind of get back on my feet and get my ducks in a row from that. That was like, 2021? That was almost, 2 years ago. And I'm just now starting to kind of get back on track as far as getting my, with my financial situation and getting my kids, back where they need to be as far as.
You also lost your job, correct?
Yeah, I lost my job.
What kind of job were you doing?
At the moment, I was doing security. I was kind of working towards being one of them. I had 3 years of experience with security. Then I was going to go ahead and enroll into a police academy. But after that happened, I changed my whole mind about dealing with that whole deal. I just went ahead and try to find something else to do, man.
Are you employed right now?
Yes, right now I'm with another security company at the moment, until I can find what I really want to do, because with that whole situation, and them pending false deals on my name, it was hard for me to find a job anywhere. So after those charges was dropped and stuff like that, I eventually found somewhere to work. But I was out of work for about a year and a half, man, just trying to find a way to provide for me and my kids,
Absolutely. Silvester, we appreciate you joining us. Good luck, and certainly keep us abreast of this case.
I got you, man. Thank you for having me, man.
Thank you so very much. Lauren, we talk about so many of these stories, and again, everyone always wants to talk about comply, but the natural reaction, when you don't do anything wrong and you're getting snatched out of the car by a cop, you're going to be mad as hell, pissed off.
Well, the natural reaction to if you were a black male in the United States would be fear and terror, right? Because we've watched video after video of black men in the United States getting killed by the police. So if you're in that particular cohort, you should be particularly nervous. I mean, we watched George Floyd get choked out on a video that went on for 8-9 minutes. We watched Eric Garner get choked to death for nothing, for absolutely nothing. And it was interesting that the words probable cause came up somewhere in that conversation. I was trying to figure out what exactly the probable cause for the stop was in the first place, because this is yet another episode where the police are just too involved. I mean, I've got a lot of cops, and my dad was in law enforcement as well, and my nephew, and so many other relatives. But what's happened is, of course, as I don't need to say, but I may as well say it, there's this entire apparatus, this entire thing that is policing in the United States. And yes, it is necessary in a lot of cases, but what has happened is that when you're stopping people for no particular reason, that's when you have to sort of sit back and say, we got cops getting a little bit too involved in day-to-day activity. Because this is not a call. This is not a law enforcement officer arriving at a call. This is somebody initiating a stop. And I couldn't figure out what the initial reason for that stop was. But, I mean, there's no reason whatsoever why anybody getting stopped who is an African-American male in the United States, particularly in this moment where with the advent of the technology that we have, with all the stops that we've had, from Philando Castile to Walter Scott. We watched Walter Scott get shot in the back 7 times in South Carolina on video. So we used to not have that, and now we do have that. So if you're getting stopped now, you should be particularly nervous, as he was when this officer asked him to get out of the car.
It's like Groundhog Day, Reese.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and what's so appalling is the multiple levels of, I don't even want to say failure, because it seems like their point is to inflict a trauma on innocent Black people just going to get food for their children or whatever else people are doing that day when they get fucked with by the police. But the fact that these bogus charges went on for over a year, despite the fact that you have the body cam footage with people saying, fuck, we got the wrong guy, is beyond appalling. So I think that there are more people beyond just the police that should be held accountable for this injustice against Mr. Silvester, because it's really appalling. And to people who want to sit up there and say, comply or act like, that there's really anything that you can do to avoid this kind of situation, unfortunately, there isn't. It's just called being Black in America. And the fact that even the officers recognizing that this is not the guy they thought it was, that at most they had a failure to signal, which we heard that with Sandra Bland, they still went forward to inflict more damage, to exponentially bring more harm to an innocent person. And that definitely deserves some compensation, hopefully in the millions, for Mr. Silvester.
Greg.
Absolutely, Roland. First of all, what the video showed us was the limits of diversity, equity, and inclusion. A white woman an indeterminate, maybe Latino, maybe some other cop, the guy Guab, who kept saying with that bro talk. And it sounded like a black man trying to coach them through what they could do to pin on the brother. So these are the limits of diversity, equity, and inclusion. These people were hunting. You know, it reminds me of that scene in American Gods. It was last day of class today at Howard. I showed a clip of Orlando Jones, your friend Orlando Jones, portraying Mr. Nancy in the American Gods series. Remember? And he's on the ship with the enslaved people, and he says, "Oh, y'all don't know y'all black yet. Okay, this is what's going to happen. You're going to a place where you're going to be slaves, and for about 100 years you're going to be effed. And then for 100 years after that, you're going to be effed. And then he said, for 100 years after that, even though you've gotten out of slavery, you're going to be effed." And he said, so you might as well go on up them steps right now and kill those effing Dutch right now. Okay, let's go to this. These people were hunting. You heard them say they're running license plates. They sitting up trying to catch somebody. They're hunting. This is what the police do. I have no sympathy for, and I got law enforcement in my family, but guess what? The police are our enemies, structurally. No diversity, equity, inclusion program, including black cops. Yeah, if you're going to be a good cop, then you're going to have to understand that policing itself was set up to F us from enslavement to now. They were hunting. They were running license plates. And then they catch this guy. Oh, he's in the parking lot. We can't do nothing for him now. So now they go hunt on the other side. They catch him on a little tech. And then they start going, now we're going to go for them. Guess what? And so here's the black man coaching the white woman and the indeterminate non-white other cop. Well, you got him on the violation. You know, what about the pistol? The pistol fell out. What about resisting arrest? What about failure to signal? That's it. Oh, we got to do something. Well, did you get him out of the car? Okay, traffic violation. Did he resist? Well, he didn't resist, but did he comply? The coming out of your mouth, get out of the car. If you don't get out of the car, is that failure to comply? It ends with this. This is not going to end well in this country. You know why? Because policing itself was set up to be against you. Policing has to be destroyed, and at some point, public safety has to be remade. Because this is what they are trained to do, and I think it's quite frankly a judgment on people's character. When they sit, whatever color agenda they are, waiting, running license plates to see if they can hunt somebody. Would you like it if somebody hunted you?
Well, I know they're going to sit here and try to block us, but what the hell? I'm going to go ahead and play the video Greg was talking about. Go.
Oh.
A man got fucked. Now, how is that for a story? Because that's the story of black people in America. Shit, you all don't know you black yet. You think you just people. Let me be the first to tell you that you are all black. The moment these Dutch motherfuckers set foot here and decided they white, and you get to be black, and that's the nice name they call you, let me paint a picture of what's waiting for you on the shore. You arrive in America, land of opportunity, milk and honey, and guess what? You all get to be slaves, split up, sold off, and worked to death. The lucky ones get Sunday off to sleep and fuck and make more slaves and all for what? For cotton, indigo, for a fucking purple shirt. The only good news is the tobacco your grandkids are gonna farm for free is gonna give a shitload of these white motherfuckers cancer. And I ain't even started yet. 100 years later, you're fucked. 100 years after that, fucked. 100 years after you get free, you still getting fucked out of job and shot at by police. You see what I'm saying? This guy gets it. I like him. He's getting angry. Angry is good. Angry gets shit done. You shed tears for Kumbe Nancy, and here he is telling you, you are staring down the barrel of 300 years of subjugation, racist bullshit, and heart disease. He is telling you there is one goddamn reason you shouldn't go up there right now and slit the throats of every last one of these Dutch motherfuckers and set fire to this ship.
Mana, bomele ga boko, nini le ga wo.
You already dead, asshole. At least die a sacrifice for something worthwhile. Let the motherfucker burn. Let it all
Reese, that's your spirit animal?
Hell yeah, it sounds just like it. Yes. I might need to go back and watch that show. I know he got fired because they said his character was too militant, so I might have to go back and watch it on the low. I'm going to have to bootleg it, though, so they don't get the ratings retroactively.
He was sitting there cussing. Every time he said MF, Reese was like... She's like, okay.
Music in my ears. It's a sweet melody.
I was like, okay. All right, y'all. Let me go to this break. We come back. Man, I got to show y'all the crazies that happened on Capitol Hill in the Senate and the House. Boy, the foolishness of Republicans is constantly on display. And I'm here for all of it. All right, folks, don't forget supporters of what we do. YouTube people, hit that doggone like button, y'all. Y'all sitting there commenting left and right. Why y'all ain't hitting that like button? We should have easily 2,000 likes. I don't know why y'all sitting there messing around. Hell, we ain't even hit 1,000, so hurry the hell up. I get back from this commercial break. I should see at least 1,300 likes, all right? So y'all need to get on it right now. Also, speaking of getting on it, please support us in what we do. Join the Bring the Funk fan club. The goal is to get 20,000 folks on an average basis, giving us at least $50 a year, $4.19 a day. You can join us by sending your check and money order to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. Cash App, $RM Unfiltered. PayPal, R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Also, you can watch our 24-hour, 7-day-a-week live streaming channel on 4 different platforms. Amazon News. Go to Amazon Fire. You can also tell Alexa to play news from the Black Star Network. Check us out on Plex TV, Amazon Freevee, Amazon Prime Video. Go to the live TV grid. We're right there with the other news channels like MSNBC, NBC, ABC, CBS, you name it, we are there. I'll be right back. When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
everybody? It's your girl, Latasha from the A.
And you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Shakira Green has been missing from East Providence, Rhode Island since August 18th. The 17-year-old is 5 feet 10 inches tall, weighs 255 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. Anyone with information about Shakira Green is urged to call the East Providence, Rhode Island Police Department at 401-435-7600, 401-435-7600. The nephew of Auntiana Jefferson will receive $3.5 million after the Fort Worth City Council unanimously voted to settle the family's lawsuit against the city. It was 4 years ago when the former Fort Worth police officer, Aaron Dean, shot and killed Jefferson inside her mother's home while she was babysitting her young nephew, Zion Carr. The council agreed to pay the money to Carr, who was 8 years old at the night his aunt was murdered. Dean was found guilty of manslaughter and is now serving a sentence of 12 years in prison. The black former Mississippi delivery driver with FedEx, who says 2 white men shot into his work van in 2022, has filed a new lawsuit against those men and FedEx. DeMontario Gibson is seeking $5 million in damages. Gibson was not wounded during the January 24th encounter. The lawsuit claims FedEx made him return to work on the same route that caused him to have depression, stress, anxiety, loss of sleep, emotional pain, and suffering. It should. The 2 men, Brandon Case and his father Gregory, were tried for attempted murder and other charges this summer, but a judge declared a mistrial. FedEx denies the allegations. A Georgia judge refuses to dismiss misconduct charges against a former Georgia prosecutor accused of hindering the 2020 murder investigation of Ahmaud Arbery. The ruling comes 20 months after defense attorneys for former District DA Jackie Johnson filed a legal motion arguing the case against her should be scrapped for lack of evidence. A grand jury indicted Johnson in September 2021, charging her with a felony count of violating her oath of office and with hindering a law enforcement investigation, which is a misdemeanor. The indictment alleges that Johnson used her office to try to protect Greg and his adult son, Travis McMichael, by telling Glenn County police officers on the day of the shooting that they should not arrest Travis McMichael. The McMichaels and William Roddy Bryan were convicted on state and federal charges related to Ahmaud Arbery's murder. They're serving life sentences. A Texas man has been convicted of threatening Georgia election officials online after the 2020 election. He was sentenced to 2 years in prison on Wednesday. Chad Christopher Stark, who pleaded guilty to 1 count of sending a threat using a telecommunications device in August, also was sentenced to 1 year probation. The officials he targeted were not named in court documents. District Judge J.P. Booley described Stark's actions inciting others to kill public officials as depraved. According to court documents, Stark posted a threatening message on Craigslist called Georgia Patriots. It's time to kill the Chinese agent, $10,000 towards an unnamed election official on January 5th, 2021, a day before the Washington, D.C. insurrection. During his sentencing, Stark said his online message was a mistake, and he apologized to the people of Georgia and the nation for the post. But your punk ass still going to jail. Yep. A former Virginia federal prison lieutenant will serve 3 years in prison for his role in the death of an inmate who suffered a 30-hour medical crisis. Prosecutors said Michael Anderson, the second highest ranking officer at the Petersburg Federal Correctional Institute, could have prevented the death of the inmate had he provided medical assistance. In 2021, several officers alerted Anderson about the condition of the unnamed inmate who suddenly became ill, fell more than 15 times, and died from blunt force trauma to the head. Anderson pleaded guilty in July to 1 count of deprivation of rights under the color of law. All right, folks. Today on Capitol Hill, there was a Senate Judiciary Committee, and Republicans, y'all, are really upset. They're really upset because the Democrats, we want to subpoena billionaire donor Harlan Crow, Clarence Thomas's sugar daddy, and also Leonard Leo, Clarence Thomas's other sugar daddy. And so they really upset by that. And so Senator Dick Durbin is like, listen, man, we got to move this thing along, and they were upset that they were not allowed to basically have more comments about different nominees that were coming for the panel. And Durbin was like, yo, we already done this. They're like, no, we got a problem. So guess what? They got pissed off, eventually walked out. Watch this little childish display.
The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Chairman, are we going to have an opportunity to speak on the nominee?
Yes, we're going to. Oh, I'm sorry. We already had done that at great length.
Well, I think this deserves some commentary, given the nature of the nominee, and I'd like to ask to speak on the nomination.
Senator, we've debated these two nominees twice.
Mr. Chairman, I would also like to speak on the nomination.
I understand what you'd like to do, but I'm saying that in fairness, we have debated these nominees twice, and I ask the clerk to call the roll.
Mr. Chairman, you're denying us an opportunity to speak on a nominee?
Man. I mean, third time. No.
Okay, do this.
So
Just
we don't have
a
right to speak under the rules? Under the third time, I'd say no.
So you're just going to make it up?
So yeah.
I'd like to
There's going to be a lot
to-
of consequences
I'd like to
coming
speak
here.
too, Mr.
You're going to have a lot of consequences coming if you go down this road.
You better
I've cautioned you. I've cautioned a lot of you.
The clerk will call the roll.
Listen to me. I've cautioned a lot of you.
Mr. Whitehouse.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, don't we get the opportunity to speak?
We're in a roll call.
So you're telling us to shut up?
Even though multiple
You
members
want
have
us
asked to
to
speak.
shut up? Is that what you're saying?
A lot of people didn't speak on the two nominees before.
We've done.
Did you raise your hand if you did not speak?
I did not have a
Senator Cornyn didn't have a chance to speak.
Senator Blackburn had a chance to speak.
We've got several folks, Mr. Chairman, who didn't have a chance to speak.
We want to tell you again why these nominees are awful.
Mr. Welch.
Or in Senator Cornyn's case, tell you for the first time. You're just going to sit there and ignore us?
Senator Blackburn, have you spoken on these nominees?
I've not had the opportunity to speak. I would like very much to speak on Mr.
Mr. Chairman,
Casabai.
I urge you to let Senator Blackburn speak.
Senator Cornyn as well. Senator Cornyn hasn't had a chance to speak.
That's correct.
Mr. Grassley.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. You can't limit debate without invoking Rule 4. You haven't done that.
We have debated.
Mr. Grassley.
We've debated on prior occasions when we didn't have a quorum. That vote didn't count. We've got people who are here now who weren't here then who'd like to speak.
Can we speak on the other nominees?
Or is your plan just to end all debate today? Is your plan to end all debate? Do you have an answer? You're going to rely on someone whispering in your ear. What's your plan?
No.
No, we're not. Okay, listen, here's the deal. We worked 7 weeks to try to solution the asylum problems. You boycotted the committee.
Mr. Cruz.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know if you've left us any alternative but to deny the committee a quorum.
Mr. Cotton.
I think that's something we ought to seriously consider.
I tell you what.
Mr. Cotton says the chairman needs to rethink his decision and let Senator Cornyn and Senator Blackburn speak. That's what Mr. Cotton says. You can mark that down as my vote.
Mr. Kennedy.
Yeah.
And everybody over there who's not willing to look at me or look at Dick Durbin needs to think about it as well.
Kennedy.
I want to speak.
Mr. Tillis.
Mr. Kennedy wants to speak as well. Mark Mr. Cotton down saying Mr. Kennedy needs to speak too.
Mr. Tillis. Mrs. Blackburn. I'm waiting to be heard on the nominee. I've requested several times to be heard on the nominee.
So no, I guess Senator Durbin is not going to allow women to speak either. I thought that was sacrosanct in your party.
Chair Durbin.
Aye.
Chair Durbin, on this vote, the ayes are 11.
The nomination will be favorably reported to the floor. The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Chairman, are we going to...
Reese, that's how you do it. I done let y'all ass talk twice. We ain't gonna have a third time. And Cornyn, if you want to talk, should have showed your ass up at the hearing before us.
Yeah, I mean, the whole idea of we're going to keep debating, tell you again. Hell no, shut the hell up. It's time to vote. If you don't want to vote, shut the hell up still and let us move on with the business. I think the whole way that Democrats tend to operate of like, with Republicans threatening, oh, this sets a precedent. Wait till we get our turn. When they get their turn, they show their whole ass. So, I mean, I think Dick Durbin should have told him shut the hell up, but he didn't, and he still got the vote that he needed, and business can proceed. But I like this energy. Don't be scared of them. They ain't got the numbers. When they have the numbers, then they go ahead and flip it on you. But that's how they do, because they don't play with their power the same way the Democrats do.
And Lauren, here's a weak ass Lindsey Graham. We want to speak again on how horrible the nominee is. Well, hell, you done already said it, and guess what? You ain't got the votes. Elections have consequences. Take your punk ass home.
No, I think your favorite was Lindsey Graham. My favorite was Tom Cotton.
His punk ass too.
Yeah, he's always Tom Cotton is my favorite because he thinks he's so tough, and he's just not. He's just a silly dude. You know, I guess I'm old enough to remember when I was an intern on Capitol Hill, and I don't even have to go back that far. I mean, I can remember the treatment of Eric Holder by people like Louis Gohmert and Lindsey Graham, of course. We had the Orrin Hatch years. We had the Strom Thurmond years. When I started as an intern at Capitol Hill, Strom Thurmond was still there. And the idea that these guys in the Republican Party are trying to pretend that they run a fair hearing where everybody can be heard is just a laugh riot, an absolute laugh riot. Durbin, of course, has been there long enough to have seen what it looks like to sit in the minority. But, you know, really what you're seeing is the frustration that they have that they can't make their YouTube videos, because this is what this is really about, is them making a YouTube video, which is why Cotton kept talking when the clerk was heard doing the roll in the background, because Cotton wants all that audio on some video someplace, because that's all these people do all day. The Republican Party, as we know it today, is not about governance. And so you're just seeing people making videos to raise money, to do the video, to do the fundraising, to get the fundraising email out. That's what you're watching. So they're trying to, you know, I forget which Supreme Court justice it was. It might have been Breyer, who warned everybody about bringing cameras into the Supreme Court, which I wish did exist. But he was right when he said that it has an effect on human behavior, because this type of action, this type of activity, this type of childishness is really about performing for the camera. And Tom Cotton, who thinks that he's so smart, he's just laughable. He's a laughable figure. He's a comical figure, and he doesn't even realize it. He has no ability to stand outside of himself and look at himself and say, how do I look in this moment? He looks absolutely ridiculous. And Durbin just ignored them because Durbin is playing the adult in the room.
Oh, yeah, great. Sit here and see Tom Cotton. You got what? Women can't speak? Women can't speak? Is you going to ignore a woman? No, I'm going to ignore a fool named Marsha Blackburn.
No question. From the place I was born, Tennessee, Marsha Blackburn, a daughter of the Confederacy. Yeah, I mean, Lauren laid it out. I mean, this is what they are doing. They're not trying to govern. They're trying to ruin, and they want to stay in power. You know, I was completely and thoroughly disgusted by the vote that took place in the United States House of Representatives that equated anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism. It's indefensible ideologically. It's indefensible. But politically, I understand. I understand why Rashida Tlaib had to vote present, because unlike George Santos, she's an honorable member of the United States House of Representatives, and they censured her, these racists. So she had to vote present. I understand Ilhan Omar and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Ayanna Pressley having to go along with that, even though I'm sure they gritted their teeth, because Zionism is not anti-Semitism. Zionism is settler colonialism, and Israel is an ethno-state. And if they would allow everybody to vote, it would no longer exist as an ethno-state, and that is the real threat, the existential threat they're talking about. We can debate whether or not that's good or bad, but that's the real politics. So I understand all that. But let us not forget that the other side are purebred ethno-nationalists, white nationalists. They are ethno-racists, not white nationalists. Tom Cotton, I'm with you, Lauren. I love Tom Cotton. In the words of the talented Mr. Tyree Trotter, also known as Black Thought from my adopted home of Philadelphia, first thing to fall is cats with no chin. Chinless Tom Cotton is everything that this country should embrace fully as its white nationalist objective. Tom Cotton ain't shit. And he's sitting there, I thought your party was about women. Even when he's trying to gesture, he tells the truth. He said the quiet part out loud. We're not about women. We're not about equality. We're not about people. We're about naked white racism and power. And this is a time to be serious right now. Again, DeSantis going to be debating the governor of California. What is that? Chinless DeSantis is trying to remain in some type of political viability. And what is going on with the governor of California? What is he doing? He's trying to keep his powder dry for run for 28 or maybe 24. Why? Because politics goes on as usual. But black people in the United States of America, please understand that we have to be at the table in order to do something. Yep. We have to register, we have to vote, we have to intervene, because this thing, what we just saw, what you just showed there, shouldn't be hinging on whether a cosplay coal miner in West Virginia or a toonie loon in Arizona are or are not going to run for office. You can't finesse with these people. You got to overwhelm them like the ocean. You wouldn't do it for Gary Chambers. You wouldn't do it in the South. This should have been flipped a long time ago. But damn it, what you just showed us is these people are either going to run it or they're going to ruin it. And our only question is, what are we going to do?
Well, while that is happening in the Senate, over in the House, they actually had debate today regarding expelling George Santos. And the Pillsbury Doughboy himself, he was participating in all of this. And man, shots were being fired left and right. Yo, watch this.
Thank you. I'll keep this very brief. I myself have been a victim of George Santos, and as well as other members of Congress, in terms of defrauding through public donations. I had received an ethics complaint from the FEC, which I had to spend tens of thousands to defend myself. You, sir, are a crook. I know I should direct my comments to the chair. I yield back.
Gentleman's time has expired. Gentleman from New York, Mr. Santos, is recognized.
I'd like to move to have the gentleman from Ohio's words stricken from the record, please.
Gentleman's request is not timely, but the chair will remind all members to direct their remarks to the chair and not to others.
Gentleman's request is not timely, but I would remind members to direct their remarks to the chair. Gentleman is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, hypocrisy, as I mentioned. My colleague wants to come up here, call me a crook. Same colleague who's accused of being a woman beater. Are we really going to ignore the facts that we all have passed and we all have the media coming out against us on a daily basis?
This boy done said, if y'all expel me, I'm telling everybody who y'all cheating with, the orgies, who beating your wives. He about to sit here and just drop all the tea.
Go ahead and do it. Put your money where your mouth is, homie. We want to hear all of the scandalous stuff, because the Democrats ain't about it to really put it out there like that. So you need some Republicans. It's unlike some good old Republican on Republican crime to really get the down and dirty out there. That's what I want to see. So yeah, go ahead, Santos. Go ahead and take everybody down with your ass.
And Lauren, here's that fool Matt Gaetz, you know, the one who liked little young girls. Watch this.
Here's why. Since the beginning of this Congress, there's only two ways you get expelled. You get convicted of a crime, or you participated in the Civil War. Neither apply to George Santos. And so I rise not to defend George Santos, whoever he is, but to defend the very precedent that my colleagues are willing to shatter.
Whoever he is, the Pillsbury Doughboy sitting over there.
Yeah, this is just clown time. I mean, it's funny, but it's not so funny when we're leading into a year where our democracy is on the line. And these are the people that are involved in these conversations. Interestingly enough, I actually happen to agree with, I can't believe I'm saying it, but Matt Gaetz. I do think that there is something wrong with expelling a member. You know, George Santos ultimately represents a massive media failure. What he really represents is a massive failure of a media whose business model is going down in terms of revenue, and that has translated into a lack of funding investigative journalists around this country. George Santos should have never been elected. He should have been exposed way before we got to Election Day. and he wasn't, and that is why he is in Congress. And so now unseating a duly elected member, I think, is a really serious question. And I am a very strict believer, particularly in an era of misinfo and disinfo, of due process and wanting to see all evidence, even though we pretty much know what we know about George Santos. A lot of it is public-facing. But I'm not a fan of undoing the will of the voters, and I'm not a fan of someone not getting their complete hearing in a court of law.
But here's the deal, though. You have a House Ethics Committee, Greg. They actually can do this. So at the end of the day, they can strip you of your committees and you can get expelled. It's not like it says you can only be expelled for these reasons here. He's lied. It's been fraudulent. He's been indicted. And hell, he lied to the committee.
No, of course, Roland, on his face. But here's the problem. The House of Representatives, the federal government, actually no government generally, but certainly the United States government and the federal government, they're not ethical. This isn't a moral question. It's a legal question, but more importantly, it's a political question. I mean, I'm sure, as you've mentioned before, Adam Clayton Powell. Remember, we go back to the case of Powell versus McCormick in 1969. The United States Congress, after Adam Powell was elected to his seat in New York, they voted to exclude him. And he went to the court and it got to the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court says, you know, but the question is, can the House exclude a duly elected member of the House of Representatives if the member has satisfied the standing requirements? And what are the requirements to be a member of Congress? Age, citizenship, and residence. That's it. Now, what is less clear is when you go to not Article 1, Section 2, but Section 5 of the Constitution, the United States House of Representatives does have the power to, they don't have the power to exclude if they meet those basic, but they can expel. So you're absolutely right, Roland. Legally, they can do it, but this is a political question. And so, yeah, I'm with you, Lauren. I don't agree with Matt Gaetz or Thomas Massey, who voted against it, except that once you've done this, the white nationalists are trying to solve a problem. They got a George Santos problem. But let's be very clear. If they ever get the numbers, you think they won't expel Rashida Tlaib or Ilhan Omar?
Yeah.
You think they won't expel? In other words, this is a dangerous moment. It's very clear the guy shouldn't be in Congress, but this is not an ethical body. This is a political question we're talking about now. So I think we, you know.
But here's the deal. They have the numbers. They control the House. And here's the deal. You get rid of him, the guy out of Ohio is taking the job as the president of Youngstown State. They're going to be down to a single vote majority. So I have no problem watching the crazy people implode. I ain't got no problem whatsoever. Final story here, two final stories, but this one here. And I forgot to do this after Thanksgiving. I was watching the Texas A&M played South Carolina. This was before Thanksgiving. And while I was watching the game, they kept talking about there's a trophy that former Texas Governor Rick Perry commissioned when he was the governor to award to the winner of that annual game. It is called the William Bonham Trophy. And so during the broadcast, they were going back and forth trying to figure out where's the trophy, who has it, does it actually exist? And then they actually showed a photo of it. This is the actual photo. This is taken from the Instagram page of George P. Bush, who was the land commissioner in Texas. And so as you see there, that is the Bonham Trophy, and they've got some sort of writing on there. I said this on social media, and I did it, and I was going to come back and talk about it on the show. But while we were sitting here talking, and I think when one of y'all mentioned South Carolina and Lindsey Graham, it sort of reminded me of this. Let me be real clear here. This trophy should never, ever be presented to anybody. And if you are a black player on the South Carolina Gamecocks football team, and if you are a black player on the Texas A&M football team, you should never, ever even mention this trophy. You know why? This, come on, show it again. This photo here, y'all, is a Confederate monument. Bonham fought on the side of Texas when it came to the Alamo. Everybody, what they've done, and again, I went through Texas history, and they all remember the Alamo. The fight at the Alamo was the protection of slavery. That's what it was about. And so you're celebrating a Confederate hero in William Bonham. So shame on Rick Perry, a Texas A&M graduate, for even creating this trash trophy. But this is a perfect example, Greg, where people need to understand history. And what you see, so here when this was created, it literally was a monument to a Confederate. And what they've done is they've created this whole notion that the Alamo was about Texas independence. And it was independence from Mexico to keep people of African descent enslaved.
Absolutely. Well, you know, you've talked extensively with our brother Gerald Horne on this in his book, The Counter-Revolution of 1836. Texas is a rogue place. And now that it's majority non-white, and white people are the largest minority, but still a minority group in Texas, everything needs to be renegotiated and reevaluated. I did not know that about that statue. I'm glad you've informed us all tonight. And it should be immediately retired. It shouldn't even be a question. But of course, it took so long for them, Fort Hood, I mean, all of those places, it took so long for them to take those names out of rotation. But guess what? It can be done. They don't have to have the political will. We have the numbers at this point. And so, yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Roland. As this country continues to change demographically, everything's going to have to be renegotiated. We cannot continue this way. These white nationalists know that. That's why they're fighting so hard to preserve their little settler mindset. But we can overwhelm them now. We have the numbers. And by the way, completely unrelated, if FAM beats Prairie View in the SWAC championship game this coming Saturday, it's going to be FAM and Howard at Atlanta. I just came back from Atlanta. I think they're afraid they're going to burn the whole city down.
Yeah, I don't know if
that's what I want to know.
I don't know if Atlanta gonna be able to handle, Reese,
they're not
all them black people for Howard and FAMU in Atlanta.
No.
I don't know. I mean, I was in Atlanta for the Super Bowl when Keisha was the mayor, and it was all right. So I think Atlanta can handle as many black people as
the Super Bowl is not Howard and FAMU. The Super Bowl is a white corporate party. That's what the Super Bowl is.
Well, I couldn't tell. It was all us up in there.
I don't know about this one here. I don't know. It's gonna be a little. It's going to be a little wild up in there, Lauren. You got anything to say about any of this, Lauren?
Not really. I mean, as far as the statue, I mean, I would never have guessed that the Robert E. Lee statue would have come down in Richmond, Virginia. It came down because the people took it down, literally took it down. I mean, protested to the point where the politicians had to make a move that they did not want to make. So anything is possible.
That is the case. That is the case. So, but again, I just want to go ahead and make that point there. Also, folks, we have an in memoriam. Reverend Charles Adams, our longtime preacher out of Detroit, passed away, very much involved in the Progressive National Baptist Convention. He was a preacher among preachers, and folks in Detroit a mourning him. Again, if you go to the PNBC website, they talked about his role in the Progressive National Baptist Convention and the role that he played. But a lot of people may also remember him when he spoke at the funeral of Rosa Parks in 2005, and he gave arguably the eulogy that everybody remembers this day. Now, y'all remember, that funeral was a little shorter than Aretha Franklin's funeral. It was about 7 hours and 45 minutes. The Queen went 8 hours. I was there. But Reverend Charles Adams, man, did he kill that thing when he had this to say about Rosa Parks.
Beauty of holiness, we praise your name for the pastor and the people who prayed and gave and sacrificed.
All right, actually, I'm going to reset the video here because it was about 11 or so minutes. But I want to pick it up a little further in to close the show out here. And let's see, give me 1 second. This is not acting right. All right, so I'm gonna have to go to my other device. I totally, this pops up on Instagram all the time, Reese, Lauren, and Greg. I remember I was live when it happened. When the funeral took place, I was live on the air. No, I started the show live on the air, and I think I ended up having dinner by the time the thing was over because it took forever. And again, everybody, I totally forgot. Hillary Clinton spoke, Obama spoke, Farrakhan, Reverend Jackson, everybody. Everybody and their mama spoke at that one. But I dare say the clip that continues to get played over and over again is how Reverend Adams closed this thing out. Y'all can pick it up now.
Injustice, unnecessary and unwarranted wars are being fought, causing a monstrous waste of blood and money. Somebody needs to sit in the way. A proposal that will destroy affirmative action in Michigan will show up on the ballot in November 9, 2006. We need somebody to work to defeat that proposal. Oh God, you have taken her from us. We will miss the warmth of her deathless smile. We will miss the touch of her vanished hand. But do, Lord, put her mantle of courage on our shoulders. Straighten up our spines. Raise up our bowed down heads. Stir up our demoralized spirits. Help us to sit in the way of customs. Help us to sit in the way of injustice. Help us to march in the way of war and poverty until justice wells up as waters and righteousness as a mighty stream. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Holy Spirit, for the purity of her heart. Thank you for the integrity of her personality. Thank you for the smile on her face, for the sanctity of her soul. Thank you for her gift of intelligence, for her faith and for her hope. Thank you that she did not die in mystery or perplexity, but she died in victory and certainty. Thank you that if we wear the image of the earthly, we should also put on the garments of eternity. Thank you that those who suffer here will reign beyond here. Thank you that when this earthly house has been dissolved, we got another building, a house not made with hands, eternal in the heavens. Thank you that the trumpet shall sound and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall all be changed. Thank you that death shall be swallowed up in victory, and we will see her face again. Thank you that we'll see Jesus. We'll be there when they crown him Lord of Lords. I wish I had 10,000 tongues just to thank you. If I were Chinese, I'd say Odia. If I were Danish, I'd say Mangatat. If I were Italian, I'd say Grazia. If I were Hebrew, I'd say Toda Rabba. If I were Greek, I would say Eucharisto. If I were Japanese, I'd say Domo Arigato. If I were Portuguese, I'd say Obrigado. If I were Spanish, I'd say Muchas Gracias. If I were German, I'd say Danke schön. If I were French, I'd say Merci beaucoup. If I were Russian, I'd say Spasiba. If I were Kenyan, I'd say Ashanta. If I were Nigerian, I'd say Eje Pupu. If I were Zulu, I'd say Ingia Bonga. If I were Sutu, I'd say Kialiboha. If I were deaf, I'd say... But since I am who I am, and I got what I got, and I feel what I feel, I'll just say thank you, thank you, praise your name, amen.
Well, now, that's how that is what we call in the tradition of the black church, Greg.
It is. You know, Roland, looking at that, bring back so many memories to see Jesse like that. And that was classic. I'm thinking about Jesse over Jasper Williams' shoulders when at Aretha Franklin's father, or C.L. Franklin's funeral, when Jasper Williams was preaching. And of course, he preached at Aretha's funeral. Of course, it was a different Jasper Williams.
It was a horrible sermon.
Brother. I'm like, what happened to Jasper Williams? But anyway, it just reminded me of that clip. And there's nothing, every generation has to identify the people who represent, for lack of a better term, what the young people call, and of course what Faraji calls the culture. But it's very difficult to imagine what this world will look like in the coming decades when the people who came out of that culture of the 60s and 70s have made transition. I hope that, it's going to be 100 years from now, but that day when Stephen Morris makes transition and Stevie Wonder has his, who's going to preach? Who's going to sing? Who's going to, that moment captured, as you say, a link in the chain, that culture of the 1960s and 70s, inheriting it from the 50s and the 40s and 30s and going backward and then emptying out into now, it just makes you wonder. Regardless of his politics, you can say what you want to about Carlton Pearson. I was looking at some of his funeral the other day, and I reached out to Jeremiah.
Well, in fact, while you're talking, folks, go to my This Is Alive. They've had several funeral services. There's one actually happening live right now. This is a live feed of the celebration of the life of Bishop Carlton Pearson that's happening right now. But Greg, go ahead.
Wow, no. I just wanted to say that. One of the things that I appreciated about Carlton Pearson, it wasn't his theology, but Carlton Pearson knew the good old good ones. He sang them songs my mama sang. And you could listen to those songs and you understand the strength of black people. This goes beyond Christianity or Islam or Judaism. This is the Africa in us. This is the thing that brings us together. And listening to that clip, listen to that prayer, and looking at those responses, seeing Bernice King and Joseph Lowry and Jesse Jackson sitting there, it just makes you wonder, in the next generation, how we're going to preserve that. I have no doubt that we will, but I'm not sure it's going to look like that, brother.
Great point there. Greg, Reese, and Lauren, always glad to have y'all on the show. Tomorrow, I'm going to be live from St. Croix. I know, I tried to bring y'all, I tried to do a panel with there, but I couldn't pull it off. So I was trying to hook y'all up. So I'll be meeting with Tim Reed and some folks down in St. Croix on some business matters. And so I will be doing the show tomorrow from St. Croix. I'm back in the studio on Monday, and y'all know what Monday is. Greg, I don't think they know what Monday is.
College days swiftly pass, brother.
They don't understand. They don't understand what Monday is, and so we gonna have an alpha show on Monday. So I'm just letting y'all know what's gonna happen on Monday's show. So y'all know that I've been wearing black and gold every single day. So just letting y'all know, and y'all should just turn the audio up. Just want to let y'all know how it's gonna go down on the show. Just let y'all know how we gonna do it on Monday. So looking forward to it. Hold on, I got another one. I hit them. I always hit them. With the different ones. You always gotta have your chant on standby with some folk always ready to talk some noise. So, you always got to have them ready. So, go ahead, turn it up. So, we're looking forward to also have some of our Black Caucus members. We got so many alphas in Congress, it's like having a chapter meeting. So, we've already reached out to Congressman Bobby Scott, Congressman Emmanuel Cleaver, Congressman Stephen Horsford, chair of the CBC, Congressman David Scott, reached out. Now that Republican, John James, he also an alpha, so I ain't decided whether I'm going to reach out to him. But I'm joking. So we reached out to a lot of different folks, and my goal is that hopefully we're going to have our panel in studio, so we're looking forward to that. And so a lot of stuff we want to talk about. So again, tomorrow I'm live from St. Croix, and then, of course, on Monday, a special edition, an alpha edition right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Again, Lauren, Greg, Reese. Thank you so very much for joining us. Be sure to check Greg out on the Black Table on the Black Star Network. Check Reese out on Sirius XM. She always talking some trash on Saturday. Maybe I'll call in from the beach on Saturday, Reese.
Okay, I'll welcome that call, Roland.
I might call it in between golf holes or something. All right, y'all take care. Thanks a bunch, folks. Don't forget, support us in what we do. Look, you never know what we talk about here, how we do it, the way we do it is always something different. But your support is critical for us to be able to continue to do the work. Moving into 2024, we're going to need, focus on our stuff every single day. And the work that we do here, y'all, I'm telling y'all right now, ain't nobody else doing it. In fact, if y'all look at Twitter, I blasted the Roux because the Roux yesterday wrote a story on a Fox News interview with the dude Mark Fisher, and I was like, how y'all writing a story on him being on Fox News, but y'all ain't said a damn thing when I destroyed him last week? I said, that's what y'all keep doing. Y'all keep amplifying white media, but ignoring black media. And so we need your support in what we do. Please join our Bring the Funk fan club. Send your check and money order to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. Cash App, $RM Unfiltered. PayPal, R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Be sure to get a copy of my book, White Fear: How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds. Available at bookstores nationwide. Also, you can get the audio version there on Audible as well. And download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Folks, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Ho! Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches. I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?